Recording in progress.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We do have a quorum here today. Travis Brooks has asked to be excused today. We'll go ahead and call the Housing and Economic Development Committee to order for Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Do we have any public comments? Either blue cards are on the screen. Is there anybody in the who would wish to give public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Are there any changes to the agenda? All right, seeing none, I do not have a chair's report today. We'll go to the county administrator's report. Lisa Holmes.
Right, moving right along. So I just have one announcement for this committee, and you know already, but I'll mention it. Announcing that Chris Bond has been chosen to be the next workforce development director. He served as the deputy director and interim director since December of 2022. His appointment is subject to confirmation by the legislature and also the Workforce Development Board. And the Workforce Development Board won't be convening until late September to confirm his appointment, and the full legislature will confirm October 3rd. But I'm very glad to make that announcement. And then upon his confirmation, will the new structure of workforce development and Office of Employment and Training will take place. So it's the only update I have. I see under county administration as well, we have a PAR form for the capital program. And I would invite the planning department to come and speak to that.
Great, and just so for everybody's knowledge, PAR is Project Approval Request Form.
Thank you.
Sure. I had to refresh myself earlier anyway, so I figured I was not alone. Katie and Nick from our planning department.
Yeah, great. So as we've been going through the whole planning process around expanding broadband, it's become clear that there will likely be a fairly significant contribution required from the county if we choose to move forward with trying to serve all the unserved addresses in the county. And so just wanted to put a capital request in there kind of as a placeholder. We don't know what the dollars will actually be at this point, and we are very pleased to announce that today the RFP for internet service providers to make proposals to the county to serve the unserved addresses went out today. So we'll be getting those proposals in on October 16th. And so then we can really know what we're dealing with dollar figures. So this part is based on the idea that there would be some cost share, probably around 40-50% of the cost of the $7 million estimated to serve the unserved addresses would be covered by the internet service providers. Then the county, with our partners ECC and the internet service providers, would apply for state and federal grants. If the rest of it was covered by state and federal grants, those require a 25% match by the county. So this roughly $1 million over the course of 5 years would be the county's contribution anticipated.
Okay. Are there any questions from members of the committee? Koreman.
Thank you for the update. So did you say unserved areas or underserved areas?
The unserved addresses.
Okay, just want to make sure that I'm taking notes to pass on to my municipalities. I thought that's what we're doing, is the unserved, that if you don't have quite fast enough. So underserved, you don't have any service.
Right, this is unserved.
Unserved.
Of the definition of 100 megabytes per second. Up and down speed, that's what our definition of unserved is. So if somebody's getting something at a very low capability, then that would still be considered unserved. by our definition.
Okay, thank you.
And we do have professional advisors here besides me to jump in with, I see Justin's here for pieces.
Hi, Justin, thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you. Any other questions? So this is a new request for this year to be put into the capital plan. Okay. And this would, just so I'm clear, this would start, you said a 4-year?
Yeah, it would start in 2024, and we would imagine that the expenditures would go on through 2028, just recognizing construction schedules, et cetera.
And you're saying about $1 million or so a year is what you're estimating?
No, about a total of $1 million over the 5 years. So it'd be, anywhere from $150,000-ish a year to, at the peak, we were estimating $400,000 in 2026.
Got it, I see that. Perfect. Okay. Any other questions? All right, see none. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be back. I mean, you're welcome to stay at the table if you're like, yeah, you don't have to keep going back and forth. All right. Any questions for Lisa, or Lisa, any additional things to add?
I think so.
Okay, great. Next up, we've got Tammy Baker, the Tompkins County Homeless Services Coordinator.
Hi, everybody.
How are you? Good to see you.
Good. It's much cooler in here than outside.
It is. It's a warm one today.
Yes. So I don't have a lot to offer right now. Next month, you will all be getting the recommendations that I came up with for the Home Together Tompkins plan, as well as a housing inventory. What I did is create how many permanent supportive housing beds and units we have right now, how many transitional units we have, and what's coming up in the next, starting perhaps next spring. So we have a sense of how many permanent supportive housing beds our county will be putting together or offering. And we met with the Community Outreach Program Steering Committee, first time it met in a couple of years. The minutes just went out to the group today, and I'm waiting to get feedback from all of the members on the contract, because we're looking at revising the contract. It hasn't really been looked at for a couple of years, so that's pending. And also putting together a land use homeless working group. That invite will go out sometime this week. I'm just confirming which people from the city will be on that. So that's coming out. So it's kind of a combination of the work that the city's doing and the county's role in providing services for people that are in the encampment.
Great.
Yep. Anybody have any questions? Or maybe that's what you're supposed to ask. Sorry.
No. It looks like Veronica's got her hand up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. You said this was a land use working group? Sorry, I don't want to open the can of worms we did last night, but the city, or the county loves to say that we don't have land use authority, and the city loves to say that they don't have services authority. So can you clarify what this group
Sure.
is?
So right now the city's working on their land use policy, the draft policy, which you all know. And I mean, I listened to George last night, and they're talking about what services are the county going to offer. So instead of working in silos, let's work together. This is their land use policy. They get to decide that, and then we, with the county folks, get to decide what services can we provide. So let's work together how we're going to do that, because it's intertwined at this point, and I think that it's going to serve everybody better if we work together, have everybody at the table.
So I think that this working group is in response to a lot of the questions that I think we saw asked by our colleagues last night, of what role is the county going to play, how is the county involved in decision making and things like that. So my interpretation is, once the city has gotten to the 1 yard line with their land use policy around encampment areas and sanctioned camping on city property, this is where we start to collaborate with them to how or what type of support is provided in that process. Is that a fair summation?
Yeah. And I'm also going to have somebody from the COC and law enforcement be on the committee as well, because they all play a role. And again, really, it's a community conversation. So I'm just going to kind of lift up and kind of take off where the work that the city's been doing and all the work that the Tides group has been doing. So like, how do we combine that and lift it up and create something that's going to work for everybody?
Any other questions for Jan on that? It sounds like next week or next month we'll have a larger discussion.
Yes.
So we'll make sure we plan an appropriate amount of time, and again, always anything we can make sure we get in advance so we can have a chance to digest and read through.
Yeah, I'll send it to Taylor, yeah.
That would be great. Awesome.
And I love that you two have the same color on over there.
I would've known that.
Greg didn't get the memo.
I would have worn my coral today, but
It works, though.
yeah, oh, good. Good. Mike's just the odd guy out over there. All right, thanks, Tammy. All right, next, Heather McDaniel with the Ithaca Area Economic Development Report and Update. So Heather, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon. So you do have my report in your agenda packet. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things since I've been here last. We did announce in conjunction with Chuck Schumer's office and Governor Hochul that Menlo Micro, a little semiconductor company, is moving into the Business and Technology Park. First phase, about a $50 million project, and they'll create about 100 jobs over the next 3 to 5 years. I was over there about 3 weeks ago and met some of their executive team, one of which lives in California and has just bought a house in Tompkins County because he's going to be spending so much time here over the next few years. So I think that's really good news for the community. Lots of interest from the construction trades on potential renovation over there. They will be doing some renovation. They moved into the old Kionics building. There is a men's fabrication facility there, so they'll be doing a little bit of upgrades and some new equipment purchases. So if you get a chance, or if you meet anyone from Menlo Micro, welcome them to the community. We did receive at IAED our recertification as an accredited economic development organization. We are now one of 73 in North America, and we maintain the only AEDO certification in New York State. There were 2 applications from other New York State economic development organizations which were denied this year. So I don't take it lightly. It's a pretty big stamp of approval that we have the resources, we have the relationships, the collaboration, and we're providing the right services to meet our community's needs. It's a pretty rigorous process. The first time around 3 years ago, they had a laundry list, I think about 14 or 16 items that they recommended we work on. This time they were proud to report that we had not only worked on but exceeded all of those goals, and they had 3 recommendations for us, 2 of which will be completed by the end of the year because we were already working on them. So one of the 2 reviewers said that in his time in reviewing AEDOs, he had never seen an agency that had so few second recommendations when they got reaccredited, and it was a testament to sort of our commitment to the work that we do. So we're really proud of that, and we're posting it and flying that everywhere that we can. We just finished our second cohort for Direct to Work, our advanced manufacturing training program. It's a 4-week training program. We had 37 applicants. We invited 18 to come in and do the pre-testing for the program. We ended up inviting 6 to participate in the program. Some of them were referred out for other remedial services and may come back. The good news is we had 6 to start with. 4 ended up completing the program, received their national certification in entry-level manufacturing. There was a test. They all passed the test, and 1 has started a job at Therm, 2 were interviewing at Stork today, and 1 is interviewing at Encodema 3D next week. So small numbers, but big rewards so far. What we're finding, the 2 main areas that we'd like to focus more on are the wraparound services. We are seeing lack of access to childcare, transportation, housing, those are the main things that are keeping people from the program, some of the remedial math and some of that we've been providing services out for. So we want to continue to strengthen our partnerships and collaborations with other agencies that are able to provide some of those other resources to get people back through our program and into long-term employment. The other area that we really need to focus on is, hey, as an economic development agency, we haven't worked a lot with social service agencies. So it's a process of building trust and building that collaboration. We really want to focus on that to provide those organizations with the ability to trust us in their process of referring potential clients through direct to work. We have actually applied for a fellow through the International Economic Development Council. They were earlier this year awarded $30 million from the Federal Economic Development Administration to set up a new sort of like a Vista AmeriCorps kind of program. They're calling it the IEDC Fellows, where they will embed 60 fellows in organizations around the country for a period of 30 months to work on discrete projects. So they received over 1,000 applications from agencies. They culled it down to 500. We made it through that cut, and now they've just culled it down to 100 agencies. So we're still in the running. We're participating in a 4-week-long accelerator with some of their partner organizations to develop our work plan and our job description and all of that. And then from the 100, they will shop those out to the participating fellows. So we find that as a way to engage with someone who might be younger in their economic development career, but maybe interested in workforce development and the social service aspect and sort of building that referral pipeline for us. So more to come on that, I hope. We should know by the end of the year if we're selected and if we're matched with a fellow, and the program would start in January. That's just one thing that we're doing to sort of look at increasing opportunities to fill our budget gap. We do have a 5-year plan. We had planned to add another workforce staff person next year. The county came in at about 24% of our budget, and thank you so much for your support there. You also said we could come back for an over-target request for specific projects and programs, which we did this year. I have no illusions that I'm going to get that funding. I know the county's in a pretty significant budget situation this year. So, we're doing our part to look around for other opportunities where we might be able to fill that gap, and a fellow from IEDC may do it. We've also applied for a $1.2 million work grant from the state of New York to build out some of that programming. The plan really is, once we have the referral process with all of the social service agencies and we're able to grow the manufacturing training, we'll replicate that model with the construction trades, both a non-union and a union apprenticeship track. So we've started some of those conversations, and depending on where our funding ends up and what kind of resources we have, that'll sort of dictate how quickly that might happen next year or the year after. And I just want to close with, the county's investment. I want to say thank you again. It's a big investment on your part in economic development and helping to support good jobs in our community. With that, we were able to launch quietly our investment initiative. We're hoping to raise about 1/3 of our budget. Our goal is $2.1 million from businesses, organizations that believe in our mission. It's a little bit of an increase over the past 5 years, but not a significant increase. We are still in the quiet phase of our investment initiative. We have so far received pledges equaling about 65% of our goal. We're getting ready to launch publicly here in the next couple of weeks, so more to come on that. And I'm happy to take any questions about my written report or anything I've highlighted here today.
Questions from members of the committee? Ann?
I think it's more of a comment, but so I want to congratulate you on the certificate and helping get Menlo Micro here, and it's huge. So thank you for that. And Also, I really appreciate taking a look, at the barriers to employment. Because as most people know, if you don't know already, that, you can have a great job, and the training is one thing, but then the barriers like childcare, transportation, are huge. And I know there's no easy fix for those. I mean, you can say you're going to address those, but I don't expect any, there's no magic wand. You can say, oh, those are taken care of by just this. It's a really systemic issue. And I like that you're looking at, for the fellow to do, possibly getting a fellow to deal with, through DSS, that type of stream. And I just wanted to say real quick, I remember back, well, I don't know if I actually remember this, but it's part of my history that my dad didn't graduate high school and was able to get into the electrical union. And that was years ago. And nowadays, the bar is way up higher, which makes sense, to get into them. So looking at to help people get into the trades, because that's what I hear a lot, going, and I've said this to you before, Heather, but yeah. The trades say it's people having all those soft skills to get in there is a huge, huge issue to be able to get into those really good jobs. So thank you for supporting all that.
About 25% of our training curriculum is all of those communication skills, soft skills, that they do a deep dive the first week, and then they're required to model that behavior, showing up on time, teamwork, communication over the course of the program. We did have to kick one person out because it just wasn't working on both ends. But we're hopeful that we're going to have some really great successes. So far, everyone that's been placed in employment is earning anywhere from $19 to $24 an hour. We had one person from the last cohort that after a month of work was earning $24 an hour, and he was able to go off of public assistance, and he's just over the moon. So more good stories to come.
Great, thank you.
And so this is the second cohort of this program, correct?
This is the second cohort this year.
This year.
And we'll run one more in October. So we're just gearing up for recruitment for that one.
That's awesome. Any other questions for Heather? All right, sounds good. Thanks so much for a thorough report, Heather, and congratulations again on the AEDO, right? The Accredited Economic Development Organization certification. Thanks. All right, so we're moving right along. It looks like our next item on the agenda is Planning and Sustainability Department. We've got a report discussion from our Commissioner of Planning and Sustainability, Katie McAllen.
Thank you. Just a couple of things I wanted to make you all aware of. On August 3rd, our staff submitted a community development block grant application with Ithaca Neighborhood Housing Service as our subrecipient for roughly $560,000 in funding to rehabilitate 20 homes in the county. And the other thing is that we are actively kind of following the rollout of Governor Hochul's pro-housing community program, which you may have started hearing about. It's not something, from our understanding, that counties are eligible to apply for, but it's something we'll be looking to support our local municipalities working on. The goal is to provide municipalities the opportunity to achieve to be a designated pro-housing community, and then they will receive priority in a lot of the discretionary funding programs, like DRA, New York Main Street, those types of funding programs. So we're, just so you know, we're actively following it. We've already talked with the city of Ithaca. They're already interested in applying, and it's really based on the state looking at your permit applications, your success in seeing housing actually built in your community. So it's an interesting program, and we're tracking it.
Do you know, and if it's too early to say if there's other communities, but do you know of other communities within the county that are also looking into this program?
Not yet. It just is being, all the details aren't even released yet. So yeah, there's more to come.
Typical government program. Well, here we're going to announce this program, and then we'll let you know about it later.
Yeah, it's coming out though, and it seems like they are trying to make it fairly easy. although you have to have all of your data lined up, you know, to be able to show that you're meeting these metrics. So our municipalities who have active databases and ways of tracking their permitting will be ahead of the game.
I mean, priority and discretionary funding is a pretty big incentive to get some of this stuff together.
Yeah.
It could be really meaningful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for that update, and thanks for keeping an eye on that. Yeah.
So when you, I'm sure that they'll have people come from New York to come around to local municipalities to roll this out, I hope? Or do we don't know that?
But I don't know the answer to that yet. And
We'll keep an eye on
certainly
it.
if something becomes real beefy on this topic, we'll come and brief you on that.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other items on your report for today? Okay, well then we'll move down to the next one, expanding broadband access, ID 11905. We've got Nick Hemholt and the folks from ECC Technologies. Great.
Thanks. Yeah, so in your packet, you have a plan titled Expanding Broadband Access. This is the accumulation of a lot of work that's been done on behalf of the county through our department and by ECC Technologies. The plan has a lot of detail about the current conditions of broadband and lays out in a lot of detail 5 options for the county to move forward with options to expand broadband to all those unserved locations. I could go on and on and on about this. I want to keep it relatively quick because a lot of this has already been discussed in various formats in previous meetings. We have Mark and Justin and possibly somebody else from ECC on the call today to give a little more detail and answer questions. So I'll with your blessing, let them jump in.
Hey, Nick, it's Mark Meyerhofer. I can't see you. Maybe you can see me, but I'll just step in here quickly and give kind of sort of a brief overview. I mean, as Nick indicated, we've been before this committee before led by Joe Starks, our president and CEO. So I know you're familiar with the options that we've presented in the past. I'm not going to spend time on that, but really the report, it's almost 90 pages, really goes into a lot of detail, provides a lot of the data that helped guide the county in getting to the point they are today. In addition to the BAT report that was supplied earlier this year, Justin has joined the ECC team today. He led that effort to do the BAT survey, which I think was very helpful in getting some insight from Tompkins County residents. And that's referenced. We should have a highlight in the report of what the BAT survey was. And as I said, there's a lot of inventory information in the report itself, a lot of maps showing exactly where the unserved addresses are, and we get into a lot of detail and background on the different technology that's out there. And hopefully if people get time to read it, I'm not sure if you have in the few days you've seen it to go through it, but hopefully you've kind of skimmed through it at least at this point. And certainly the ECC team that's on the call today are happy to answer any questions you have.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that, and again, appreciate all the work that the folks at ECC Technologies did to put this together. I'm sure this is very helpful and useful to those that understand the complexity of some of these things greater than some of us. So thank you for that. I guess I'll open it up to members of the committee. Just as a reminder, this was emailed separately because it was not included in the agenda packet because of its robust page length. Trying to also be somewhat sustainable here with digital copies. Or Veronica has a paper one by
That
accident.
was it. That was an accident, and it's nobody's fault.
It's nobody's fault. Any questions for the group? Veronica?
Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Mark. I as you surmise, I did not get to carefully read through this, so if the answer to my questions is like in there, please feel free to point me to a page and I'll be quiet. But I'm looking at a couple things. One, I'm looking at the back responses or the key findings of them on page 5, and one, those aren't all, are those all addressed by, I guess, option 1, I guess? Or maybe I'm looking at the last one where like over 85% of respondents indicated that it's important or very important to have a choice in providers. And I can't remember how the 5 options like do or don't address that. I know the current state of things, at least where I live, there's not a meaningful choice.
Yeah, and I think one of the, by selecting option 1, really how it was structured, right, dividing it into the 9 towns that make up the county, that was to encourage some of the other providers to kind of come into a territory that maybe they don't currently serve. We've seen success on that in working with other counties where when they come up with that as a selected option, right, doing the RFP and getting broadband providers to come and bid on the project, that they'll frequently step up to the plate, if you will, and at least serve a portion of the county that they don't currently serve, or expand their current network within a zone or a town in this case. So, that's certainly always a concern. You don't know until you get the respondents, back and see what that is. But, I think for myself, looking at the providers that are available in Tompkins County, in certain parts you actually have, I've seen in Tompkins more selection than in others. Now that may not mean they're right in your area, but they're close by, and hopefully, again, that's what will happen here. In fact, as part of this process, I know, of course, I joined just when you were starting to talk about the RFP that was released today. I know we assisted Nick and Katie in getting that RFP together and worked with county personnel on that. And I know when we were even looking at the potential internet service providers that would bid on it, the list was a lot longer for Tompkins than it was for other counties we worked with. So right there, it tells me that hopefully, and your point here about the 85% of respondents saying a choice of providers, hopefully we will see that once the results of those bids come in about 6 weeks, I believe.
Awesome, thank you. And if I can ask,
If I could just build on that, yeah. In the section of the report that goes through the options, I believe we talk about competition in each one of those options. Yeah. So,
I'll take a look at that. And separate question, maybe more for the record, because I thought it was interesting looking at the internet speeds and like these definitions of unserved and underserved. It was a bunch of numbers that I didn't know what to compare to, and I ran an internet speed test on the devices I have, which my devices are old, and this is on me, but they're the speeds are below like anything listed in this table, and I think I understand that we if you're going to make a big investment in broadband or something else, you want like up-to-date technology that's not going to already be slow quickly. I guess, can you comment on that, or how should we think about it?
Yeah, in terms of, I would certainly, would be ECC's recommendation that any proposals that come in, that a preference is given towards fiber optic networks, just because they are the best technology we have currently, and it's, something they consider called future-proofing the system. Now, I understand where you're saying, we don't get the speeds we have. And again, sometimes there's various factors to that. Sometimes it is old equipment, but sometimes it's the internet service provider themselves that you have to go back to and ask them to, check lines in a certain neighborhood or a certain street, because, again, the internet service provider is the one that is certainly, saying that they are providing these speeds, or you're paying for those speeds. Now, it'll say in the fine print on a lot of these up to a certain speed. So certainly, keep that in mind, not to make excuses certainly, but There's a lot of factors, traffic on the network itself, certainly how that network is set up. When you have a dedicated fiber, you're going to consistently, or you should consistently get the speed that you're paying for. On a shared network, certain times of the day you probably would not get those speeds. Just speaking personally, I've certainly done the same thing. I've tested some speeds, and what I'll do sometimes is I'll hit on the Ookla speed, right? I'll hit the go button on my laptop, which is older, and my cell phone, which is newer, at the same time, just to see, because I'm curious. I'm in the industry, and I'm curious to see, okay, does this hold up? Because we often tell clients that, and typically the newer device will hit the speed you're supposed to get, and the older one won't, because it's a newer modem, a newer Wi-Fi router, and if that newer Wi-Fi router doesn't, or that device, I should say, doesn't have the capability to connect to that new Wi-Fi router, if you will, that the internet service provider has, then you won't get the speed you're supposed to. So there is a lot that goes into it. I hope I didn't bore you with details there, but I wanted to give kind of a complete answer, if you will.
Thank you. You didn't bore me. I can't speak for anyone else.
I have a kind of I don't know if this is on topic or off topic or out of scope, but it looked like it was included here. For a county of our size, and I'm looking at page 30 and 29 and 30 of the packet where it talks about wireless tower structures. For a county of our size, do we and this may be totally anecdotal just based on your professional experience, do we have the right amount of wireless towers? Are we deficient? Should we have more? How does wireless towers play into greater access, or does it have any impact? I guess how should we interpret wireless towers and the impact on this report or this discussion?
Yeah, that's a valid question. I honestly don't have that answer off the top of my head. I don't know if Justin has a sense of the number of towers that are, is this average? Is this above average for a county your size? Justin, I don't know if you had a sense of that.
When it comes to wireless towers, I think the focus, if we keep in mind the goal of the project itself to serve the unserved, the specific topography in Tompkins County definitely makes this wireless technology quite difficult to consistently give you those broadband speeds that you're looking for. So as Mark mentioned earlier, the focus is definitely going to be on that fiber optic technology to future-proof Tompkins County. As far as wireless infrastructure goes, that is definitely a question I can get back to you on. I have the exact person I can go to right after this meeting, so I can certainly give you that answer.
Yeah, that would be great. I know one of our colleagues is often asking about wireless coverage and those types of things, especially because we do have pretty unique topography and rural areas within our community, and that can be really difficult for folks in those areas, obviously with limited broadband, limited cell coverage, limited wireless, to get access to. So if you could follow up, if that's not too much to ask, we'd appreciate that, and can share that back with members of the committee and the legislature.
Certainly.
Any other questions? All right, well, Nick and team and the folks from ECC, Justin and Mark and others that worked on this, really appreciate this. I know that there's several people, a lot of people in our community that are interested to see this and interested to see the RFPs come back and keep this project moving forward. So again, thank you for your time and all your efforts, and look forward to the next steps and opportunities to keep working together to solve and continue to improve access throughout the community.
Yeah, likewise. It's been a pleasure to work with the Tompkins County Broadband team and the legislative committee here, and it's been a very collaborative approach to get to the final report here. Enjoyed working and exchanging ideas with everyone involved. So thanks for the opportunity. Look forward to continuing our partnership.
Great. Thanks so much to you both, and we'll hopefully see you soon.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, take care. Okay, so that moves us along to arts, culture, and tourism, where we have a resolution, the designation of Tourism Promotion Agency for State of New York, ID 11729. And I will go ahead and move that so we can start that discussion. I have Ann as a second. And I'll turn it over, Nick, to you, and it looks like Peggy is also here. If you need to come to the table or would like to join us, you're welcome to, from the CVB and the Tompkins Chamber.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah, the resolution for you to designate the Tourism Promotion Agency for Tompkins County is something that we bring annually to the legislature. This is something that New York State expects counties to do in order to be eligible to receive matching funds, which my colleague Peggy Coleman from the Ithaca Tompkins County Convention Visitors Bureau can tell you much more about.
Yeah, even though we have a multi-year agreement with the county, the state does require the designation annually, so we get to spend this fun time together. And the matching funds, there are very specific uses for those dollars. We use them primarily to support the printing and design of our travel guide, as well as distribution out of county, so getting them to visitor centers in Pennsylvania, as well as in I'm sorry, I just lost that train of thought. Other ways that we use the matching funds is for advertising, so paid advertising. We also use them for international programming in collaboration with Brand USA, which is the federal tourism agency. We're able to leverage our buy by using state dollars to match and buy into federal programming.
Any questions for members of the committee on the resolution? Nope, this seems like a pretty straightforward procedural resolution, but definitely want to say thank you to you and your team for all you do to represent Tompkins County outside of the county and within the county, and welcoming our visitors and trying to attract new visitors is, I think tourism is a critical piece to our vibrant economic landscape. So thank you for all those efforts. If there's no other comments, I'll go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Go get all the matching funds you can. Thanks. And I forgot to mention Jennifer Tavares from the Chamber is also on the screen. So Jennifer, thanks for joining us as well. All right, the next one we have is also a resolution, Doc ID 11887, Award of Strategic Tourism Implementation Grant to Downtown Ithaca Alliance, DIA, for a retail attraction incentive program. I'll go ahead and move that, if I could have a second. Second by Mike Sigler. And Nick, I'll turn it over to you. If you could just give a little bit of background on the grant that this is coming from, how we got to the grant, what the process is, since this is the first time we've seen this in quite some time.
Yeah.
And then we can go into some of the substance of your memo that's also attached here.
Yeah, absolutely. This grant is called the Strategic Tourism Implementation Grant. It is something we have not offered, or I should say awarded, since 2019. Following the COVID pandemic, these were reduced as our budget was reduced from room tax, and only restored recently in the budget adjustment that was passed earlier this year, I believe in the spring. So that budget adjustment was able to put $500,000 into this grant fund. The specific purpose of this grant is to carry out actions and activities that are proposed in the Strategic Tourism Implementation Plan. So organizations that are interested in doing that have a two-step process to secure this grant funding. The first is to put together a letter of intent, and that is just a brief overview of the idea or the concept of what they're trying to accomplish through the grant. A review committee looks at those letters and determines if they merit going forward with a full application or not. Once we've gotten feedback from the review committee on that front, then the applicant is informed either of the decision to not proceed with that idea or to put together a full application. Once that entity is invited to put together a full application, they have about 90 days to submit that for review by the same committee. Will look at that application and determine whether it merits a recommendation for an award. So this is a little different than our other grant processes, which have fixed deadlines. The only fixed deadline for us is November 1st, where we cut off the funds just so we can have a nice clean break for the calendar year in finance. This application came from Downtown Ithaca Alliance. This was actually one of the final things that Gary Ferguson, in his capacity as executive director over there, shared with us. And as you'll see in the packet, it is for a proposed retail attraction incentive program, which would be used to help improve downtown retail within the bid area. So yeah, that's generally the grant's purpose and what we're trying to fund here, and happy to answer any questions that y'all have.
Mike?
I just have a couple questions. So we did this before in 2019. How successful was it?
How successful was it? I'd say I'd have to look back at those 2019 grants because it's been a little while. But we've had some programs that were funded through it that were discovered. I'd say actually one thing that comes to mind is the conference center feasibility studies were funded through this source of funding. We also had some studies that were funded through this that turned out to be sort of dead ends, and that we had to sort of learn through exploration what those were. So,
This is going through the Downtown Ithaca Alliance, which makes sense that it would be for downtown. I mean, if this does prove somewhat successful, can we take this countywide? I'm sure downtown driving,
that's a good question. I'm not sure yet. I can say that there are some efforts moving forward to do market studies for some of the villages around the county. Also, sort of related to this retail effort on the DIA has led. But replicating the program for other parts of the county, I'd have to look into that a little more.
Maybe we would just have to find the lead agency.
Yeah.
Chamber would be an obvious choice.
Something like that.
Thanks.
Just for folks' information, packet page 24, there's a strategic tourism implementation grant application and budget summary. Just to draw attention to that, again, the pot for this grant is about $500,000. Currently, between the application we're considering today and the letter of interest that we have from other organizations, it's about $320,000 in requests. So there's still a nice pool of funds available out there for ideas, and you can see what some of the other ideas that we'll be going through the grants committee to evaluate are, but just wanted to highlight that for folks too, so you could see what other types of requests this grant is seeing. Yeah.
Thanks, Greg. When the question that Mike Sigler was asking about, could this be, expanded countywide? I saw Peggy shaking her head yes. I don't know if her or Jennifer wanted to comment on how we could expand that, if you have any ideas. Not immediately, but after you see how this goes.
I don't want to volunteer or put words in Jennifer's mouth, but I do think there's been past precedent where some of these STI projects have been done in a pilot program and then been able to expand beyond that. So that's why I was nodding my head. I could certainly see where, since the chamber does represent the whole county, this may be something we'd be interested in at least talking to Nan at DIA and seeing how things go with the downtown program. But again, I'm not the right person at this juncture to be volunteering the chamber to do anything like that. I see Jennifer just popped in.
Yeah, hi Jennifer, thanks for joining. If you have any thoughts or want to weigh in as well.
Hi, well, I'm here, and I'll just say forgive me for doing a little bit of multitasking, but I mean, I will just share that when a number of some of these special projects and initiatives were initially imagined, if you will, as part of our recommendations related to economic recovery strategy, the plan and sort of the intention that Gary and I had was that, you know, DIA may administer certain things for the downtown area, and we may help administer the same / complementary programs countywide. And so it certainly is something we've talked about in the past and considered in the past. And again, at times have had capacity for some of that work. And as Peggy said, we've collaborated with the program to start some new initiatives that have then grown into something bigger. So, you know, always happy to explore those opportunities together.
Great, thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for this program. I know I've had a couple small businesses. It's a big lift, you know, at the beginning, especially sometimes going in debt to just start up your business. So really appreciate taking the lead in this, or helping get this going anyway, for the DEA, or DIA. DEA,
Yeah,
that's something different. Hopefully they will be
Let's
involved.
be careful with the acronyms.
They're not flying right now, but we know that.
Yeah, no DEA involvement in this. No, you know, it doesn't seem like a lot, you know, when you first think about it, but really to start a small retail business or to make that leap to have something, right, is really important. And I think there's some work to be done to bring the commons and the downtown, you know, core to be really, again, a vibrant place of commerce and retail, and, you know, place, you know, we can send visitors to walk and wander and drift in and out of stores and hopefully spend money and sales tax and all sorts of great things. So, yeah, I think this is great. If there's no other questions, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. So, Nick, thank you, and thanks to those on the grant review for the time and energy, and the SDPD for their work on this. And the only thing I would ask as this committee is if we could just get an update on some of these STI grants. You know, maybe it's an annual basis or annual report on the success or implementation. That would be helpful for this committee to track progress and impact. Thank you. Sorry, let me scroll back up to the top of the agenda here. Advisory board appointments. We've got ID 11903. This is for the Strategic Tourism Planning Board. Richard Floyd, Tompkins, Portland Community College representative. Term expires December 31st, 2023. Ann's going to move that. Is there a second? Seconded by Veronica. Do we need to have any discussion or anything? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. The next item we have is the minutes approval for the August 2nd, 2023 meeting. Veronica's going to move that, and seconds. Great. Any changes, additions, subtractions? Nope. All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Great. That also passes unanimously. The last item we have is any committee member reports or updates. Anything that they'd like to share out? All right, well, seeing none, I will call this meeting adjourned if there's no other items of business. All right, we're adjourned. Thanks, folks. Have a great day. Try to stay out of the heat, but also try to enjoy some of the sunshine. Have a great day.
Thank you.